Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're back. We're going to do another Offsec Proving Grounds machine walkthrough. This time we're going to be tackling a machine called Algernon. It's a Windows machine that's rated as easy. And this is probably the fastest that I've ever rooted a machine. Um, I did get a little lucky, I think, by picking the right way. But I think I kind of made my own luck there, and I'll explain more when we get to that part of the video. But without further ado, let's get started. You can see I'm on Offsec's VPN. Here's the IP address for Algernon. I actually ran an Nmap scan, so you can see up here sudo Nmap service version detection T4, all ports, and then Algernon's IP address. And came back with some interesting things. We have port 21, which is FTP, 80, which is HTTP, SMB, which is 445, and there's some other interesting ports here, a couple of unknown ones, one for Pando Pub, ? Another HTTP website, and then an interesting port on 17,001. The rest are RPC ports, 49,000. And you know, I kind of formulated a plan in my head. I didn't know what some of these higher ports were, basically from 5040 up to 17,001. So I said, you know what, I'm going to run a bit more of an aggressive scan on those, which I knew was going to take some time. So what I ended up doing was I kicked off a more aggressive scan, which basically I just limited it to those ports, and then added the TAC capital A to indicate that I wanted to do an aggressive scan, and then I kicked that off. What I decided to do in the meantime was to visit the HTTP sites in the browser and hit the FTP site and see if I can find anything there. So what I did as far as FTP goes is I went to my file browser, did FTP, drop in that IP address, and it allowed anonymous login. So I was able to just basically pick anonymous and log in. So you can see there's a bunch of folders here. I went to IMAP retrieval. There wasn't anything in there. I went to spool. There was a drop folder in there, but nothing else. I went into pop retrieval. There was nothing. And then I went into these logs. Now, this is probably slowed me down a little bit because I started looking through these logs, but ultimately there's nothing in here. Like if you look at these administrative logs, there's just some IP addresses, and it tells you that admin tried to log in, or the SMTP service restarted or whatever. So there really wasn't anything worth pursuing, at least initially, in looking at FTP. So the next thing I did was I opened up the browser, dropped the IP address in, and lo and behold, you know, it's a Microsoft box. If you're running a web server, you're going to get this IIS page, especially if you're running the actual web server on another port. So if you remember, there was something on 9998. So I went up here, I popped in 9998, and I think it was 9998. Yeah, 99998. And yeah, it just took a bit. There's this smarter mail. So did the old check for default credentials, admin didn't work. I tried to do some stuff, like to do a little bit of enumeration. It took me to Smarter Tools website. I did do a little bit of research, you know, Smarter Mail, exploits, and there was definitely some stuff here. I especially always like remote code execution vulnerabilities. They make life real easy. I also did a little bit of searching on 1701 exploits, because that port I had never seen before. and that kept mentioning smarter mail as well. So I figured I was on the right track here. So when I ran that additional scan, I mean, not a whole lot more came back. There's definitely some more stuff here. I didn't really see anything too valuable, though. I was trying to get the smarter mail version because that would have been very helpful. But I couldn't. I just didn't see it anywhere in there. So ultimately, I decided what I was going to do was I even did another additional aggressive scan on everything, and I didn't really see anything other than it did tell me that anonymous FTP was allowed, which I already knew. So what I did actually was this. I just went to my terminal and I typed in search exploit. Smarter mail. Or actually I just did smarter. Search exploit smarter. And a few exploits did pop up. And the one, I mean, arbitrary file upload could be good. Directory traversal, good. Cross-site scripting, nah. LDAP injection, nah. Cross-site scripting, nah. The ones you're really kind of interested in would be remote code execution or some kind of buffer overflow. I mean, I guess you could get something with cross-site scripting potentially, but I wouldn't waste my time going that way. So ultimately, I just looked at some of these exploits. But in order to save time, I'm going to tell you what I did was I ended up on this one, 49216. So if you don't know how to use search exploit, it's pretty cool. If I just copy this script number, you can type in to the terminal search exploit -m, and then you can pop in that number, and what it'll do is it'll copy the code for the exploit right to wherever you are. So you can see right now I have 49216.py right in my directory here. So let's take a look at the code and let's see what it does. So we're going to do nano. It looks pretty simple. There's not a lot of imports, which means we'll probably just be able to run it from the command line without having to do any kind of virtual environment to download package dependencies, because I'm pretty sure sys and socket and base64, they're going to be really standard Python libraries that are going to be used. So I'm imagining your machine's probably going to have it already as well. Now, obviously, in looking at this already, you can see there's a couple of things that need to be set. And from judging what they're looking for, my guess is you need to set up a listener. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up another terminal. I'm going to move it over here. And we'll just clean this up a little bit here. All right. So you're going to have to edit this code a tiny bit. So what, and the thing that really, when I looked at this particular code, the thing that was like going, blinking lights saying, hey, this could be the right one, was the fact that it executes on this port 1701, which is a port that we have open that, I don't really know what it does. So right off the bat, my antenna perked up when I saw that 1701, and I said, I'm going to try this one for sure. I did try another one. I'm not going to waste time going through that, but definitely tried this one, and I had some success. So I'll show you. Here we need to edit the client, which I think is 166.65. So that's the IP address of the remote host, or the host that you want to exploit. The port you want to obviously leave 1701, right? Then you're going to want to put the L port in there, which is your IP or attack machine's IP address. So I'm going to drop my attack machine's IP address in there. And then you can change this port to whatever you want. 4444 is just like the standard. I mean, it's like the Metasploit standard, so I think that's the one that everybody uses. I mean, Searchsploit is, Rapid 7, so, I mean, it makes sense. Anyway, let's see here. Next, now that we have this code modified, we just want to make sure there's nothing else we got to change in here, right? And, I mean, it's a pretty simple script overall. Got the right L host, got the right L port, got the right host, got the right port. So we can hit Control O, Control X. We don't need to give it executable permissions because Searchsploit was nice enough to handle that for us. It popped it over into our directory already with executable permissions. So then obviously the next thing we need to do is set up a listener. So we're going to go netcat and LVP 4444. Okay. We're going to hit enter. It's listening on 4444. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do Python 3 and then the script, which is 49216.py. We hit enter. And over here you can see we got a connection to our computer from 16665. Now, you may be saying, well, something's wrong. Well, there's nothing wrong. If I type who, if it helps if you're in the right window, but if I type who am I, I'm NT Authority System. So there's, you can see the terminal gives you a prompt after you enter the first command. You could probably hit enter a couple times and it would pop up with the prompt. So, I mean, that's it. We own this box. So now we can just go cd c users cd administrator, and then we can do a cd desktop, and then we do a dir, and we got proof.txt. We do type proof.txt. And there's the flag. So, like I said, if you look at this Nmap scan, there's a lot of rabbit holes you could go down here. I didn't even look at SMB or any of that stuff. I zeroed in on this smarter mail because it looked like a bunch of these ports were related to that. So this application has its tentacles out in a couple of ports. So I figured, that's what I was going to focus on, at least initially. I did check FTP. That was a rabbit hole. Port 80, is just the standard IIS web server page, kind of like the default Apache, hey, it works page. Like I said, didn't even touch SMB. Focused right on smarter mail, used the built-in tools right in Kali, Searchsploit, and ended up, I mean, literally, I had this machine owned in 20-25 minutes max. So that's how we got root on Algernon. It was pretty simple. I hope this box walkthrough helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next walkthrough. Take care, guys. Bye.